The following is a community affairs presentation from the Ulster County Health Department. This is the Healthy Ulster Radio Show, a weekly presentation exploring community health and sustainability with guests representing a broad spectrum of community partners working to make Ulster County the healthiest in New York State. This program is sponsored by the Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley in Kingston, a member of the WMC Health Network.
Good morning and welcome to Healthy Ulster Radio. My name is Vincent Martell, Director of Community Health Relations for the Ulster County Department of Health and Mental Health. And today we're going to be discussing a topic that's very, very critical to community health, wellness, and sustainability, and that is recycling and disposal of hazardous waste. And so today we have two very special guests from Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. We have Tim Rose, who's the Executive Director, and Merlin Akhtar, who's Recycling Coordinator. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Tim, tell us a little bit about the background of Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. How and why did it come into being?
Sure. Well, first of all, the RRA is a public authority. We're a public benefit corporation, another way to say it. We're not part of the county. A lot of people get that confused because of our name, Ulster County Resource Recovery. They think we're actually a county department. So we were set up by state statute in the late 80s. The county legislature asked the state legislature to create the authority to manage the solid waste within the county. And it was created in 1986 is when the bill passed, and then slowly the agency was able to build the facilities and start taking care of the solid waste and recycling in the county.
Mm-hmm. And were the towns doing that before on their own?
Each town had their own landfill. There was a lot of environmental regulations that passed in the 80s, specifically concerning unlined landfills. And what I mean by that are landfills that didn't have a liner underneath them as they're built in today's standards. So because of that, with the new environmental regulations, it forced a lot of the unlined landfills that towns had, as you were called, the town dumps at the time. They were forced to close, and so that's really what triggered a lot of this. In regard to the counties forming authorities, and in some instances throughout the Ulster or throughout Hudson Valley, some counties chose it rather than forming an authority that was separate from the county. They decided to keep it in-house and actually have a county department. Mm-hmm. So some of the counties, for instance, like Westchester County, Orange County, and Sullivan County, Greene County, Columbia County, they're all county departments. Ulster County, Rockland County, Dutchess County were authorities. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I imagine, as a former town supervisor, I imagine that a lot of the towns who are really pretty much running on shoestring budgets without a lot of staff and resources would find it increasingly difficult and unmanageable from a resource and capacities perspective to keep those kinds of huge operations going and do it in a safe manner.
And that's correct. And actually, one of the things that the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency did specifically, and I can't speak for other ones, but we did provide some financial relief to the towns at that time to help them close the landfills. Mm-hmm. The agency incurred that debt and provided $500,000 to each town in Ulster County to help them with the financial burden of closing the landfills that they were forced to close. Mm-hmm. So in addition to that, the RRA also provided $40,000 to each town to start their own town transfer stations for the residents. Uh-huh. Because the way the system is set up in Ulster County, the towns are meant for the residential use, for the town residents. Our facilities, we have two, one in the town of Ulster, right near the Rhinecliff Bridge, and one on Clearwater Road down in New Paltz. Those facilities are really commercial facilities. We take the large garbage trucks, the large contractors, that are working on homes and so forth. We're not set up for residential. The idea is that the residents would use for their household garbage, their local town transfer stations. We do accept residents on Saturdays. It's a much safer environment on Saturdays, but during the week there's a lot of activity going on.
Mm-hmm. And I know that some of the towns also welcome residents from other neighboring towns if they want to. That's an option for them?
That's town by town. That's up to the town. Mm-hmm. Some towns do. they do allow other town residents to come in. There's been a long-standing agreement between the towns of Saugerties, Woodstock, and Shandaken. That's a formal agreement, and those residents all use the town transfer station in Saugerties on Route 212. That's been long-standing for 25 years or so. There's some informal agreements. So there's some towns that will accept, maybe for an additional permit fee or whatever the case may be, other residents from other towns, but that's the only one that's really formal.
So Merlin, we know that recycling, I mean, it's nothing new. It's been around for a while now. So how's it going in Ulster County? How effective is it? What are some of the trends that you're seeing with respect to recycling?
Well, it's been going very well. As usual, though, there's always room for improvement. We're always trying to, get information out to people to make sure they're putting the proper materials in their bin. In Ulster County, it's the law. Source separation is the law. The local law was amended in 2010. You need to separate out paper and cardboard, plastics, metal and glass. The most confusion people seem to have is with plastics. A lot of people, if they see it's a plastic, they automatically assume it can go in the bin, and that's not the case. For the transfer stations that we service are in our recovery facility, our material recovery facility. We can take plastics 1 through 7, but they have to be in a certain form as well. So like we can take bottles, jugs, tubs, or lids. That's usually what we tell people. But we've gotten some unusual items in there. So there's still a lot of confusion out there. People, wanting to, and we've had kiddie pools show up and, big unusual items are like, God, that doesn't look like a bottle, jug, tub, or lid. But, it means people they know in their head that plastic is recyclable and they want to, but they're just not quite sure of the specifics of their program.
Well, when you say 1 through 7, so how does the consumer know where to find what that means and what are they looking for?
There's usually somewhere on the container, usually the bottom, there's the little 3 arrows going around, and usually there's a number inside. Numbered 1 through, there's either a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. And so as long as they see that, and it's one of those forms that we can take, so it's usually going to be like your margarine tub, or your soda bottle or your water bottle, that sort of thing, your laundry detergent bottle, your milk jug, those things can go in. But if it's something like the kiddie pool, that can't go in. The number is just telling you what type of plastic it is. 1 is the earlier numbers are the purest plastics. So like number 1 is your PET, and then when you start getting to 5, 6, and 7, those are it's got varying types of plastics in it. So if you can, try to buy things that are made from the lower numbers, but we'll take all those as long as they're in the right form.
And they also, the transfer stations take paper and then cardboard, right?
Yes.
What other types of things do the transfer stations take, and are those things that you deal with, or is it on a town-by-town basis?
We usually, the transfer stations will have a bin for glass, they'll have one for paper, they'll have one for cardboard, and then they'll have one for the cold mingled, which is the metals and plastics. The glass will take all the different colors. Paper, that's like your junk mail, newspaper, magazines, that sort of thing. And cardboard's like your corrugated cardboard and your brown paper bags. I think some of the transfer stations, they'll take other items, but it's usually dependent on it's not ones that we collect. Like they might take scrap wood, scrap brush, that sort of stuff, or they might take electronics on their own, or they might take mattresses to do recycling, but that's dependent on the town. That's not stuff that we collect. We collect the garbage, and all the main recyclables, the paper, cardboard, and the co-mingled.
What about stuff like batteries or petroleum products, those kinds of things?
So I've noticed some transfer stations will have an oil take back, not all of them. Again, it's very dependent. Batteries, there's not rechargeable batteries, like we'll take at our household hazardous waste, and depending on if it's electronically related, like to a computer, we'll take it in our e-waste. But as far as single-use batteries, like AA, AAA, that sort of stuff, single-use alkaline, there's actually not a recycling program in place. It's very hard to find one even within the country. There's ones that you can pay to get a box to have it sent back, but they took mercury out of it back in the 90s. So the EPA, DEC, they all tell us that we can throw them in the trash. We still get a lot of questions about it, but unfortunately there's not really, a a good way to do it.
Well, I suppose, too, the consumer has a role to play up front, right, in trying to purchase products that are reusable and not, for instance, I know there's an initiative now to eliminate, and that the legislature is considering, Ulster County Legislature, on plastic bags.
Yes.
Those types of things. So, walk us through what happens to recycled material once it goes to the transfer station and then to you. Are you able to generate money from that to pay for to offset some of the costs of this, or how does that exactly work?
If you want to take the financials.
Essentially, we serve. There's 24 municipalities in Ulster County. We service 15 of them with our own roll-off trucks. And what Merlin was referring to earlier about separating the plastics from the glass, that's called dual stream recycling. Mm-hmm. There are several towns in the county that service themselves, or they have a third party that services them, and those few towns have single stream recycling. So the facility that we have is they call it a MRF, the recycling facility. That facility can only process dual stream. So when we collect that dual stream from those 15 municipalities, it comes into our facility and it's sorted, some of it by hand, some of it by mechanical means. The single stream that comes into our facility, we actually are pretty much a pass-through facility. So in other words, it'll come in, we'll collect it and put it on long-haul trucks and the large tractor trailers that you see, and we send those off to single-stream facilities that can actually process that material. And single stream, again, is when all the recycling is mixed together,
right,
as opposed to being separated. And
now, do they pay you for that, or do you pay them for that, or is it somewhere in between those?
The 15 municipalities that we service with our roll-off trucks with the dual stream, we can generate revenue from that. And albeit right now it's not a tremendous amount of revenue, the recycling markets throughout the country are down considerably. But we can generate a substantial sum from that dual stream. Now the single stream we cannot. That we have to send out.
I remember back when I was supervisor, metal was going for a pretty high rate, and so it helped offset some of the costs of running the transfer station itself. But we're going to discuss this and more about what you do right after this short break. We'll be back soon with Healthy Ulster Radio.
The excitement continues to build. The mission of Health Alliance is now made even stronger by our new partnership with the Westchester Medical Center Health Network. By combining a legacy of community-based care with WMC Health, we are building a stronger, healthier, and more vibrant community. We'll be collaborating to provide preventive, primary, specialty, and advanced care right here where you live, where we all live. Health Alliance and WMC Health, advancing care here. Visit HAHV.org to learn more.
Hi, welcome back to Healthy Ulster Radio. We're here with Tim Rose and Merlin Akhtar from Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency talking about recycling and hazardous waste disposal as it relates to community wellness and sustainability. Merlin, I know that you do a lot of household hazardous waste events. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we hold 3 events a year for residents. It's a free program that we offer. So the 3 times a year, people would make an appointment to come see us, and they can bring, aerosols, their lawn chemicals, household cleaners, mercury thermostats, old fuel. We also collect pharmaceuticals. So if they're cleaning out their medicine cabinet, they've got expired medicine or medicine they just didn't use, pet medications.
Hugely important, right? Because we know that 70% of the, in the health department, we have our own initiative with medication collection boxes, which are currently set up in police stations, but now we're working with local pharmacies. 70% of the highly addictive drugs on the streets come from people's medicine cabinets. So if you're not getting rid of your unused medications, please do so. Every police department in Ulster County has a box, and as does...
and we also do it at the program. Right. That way, if someone's having to come to the program for their other household items, they can bring their pharmaceuticals as well. But this is really a chance for people to get rid of those things like varnishes and solvents, stuff that they don't want to be throwing away in the garbage. And normally you'd have to pay to get rid of these things, and we provide this for free. We contract with a company that comes. They know how to handle materials. to transport the material away. People don't even have to get out of the car. They just come in, we register them, they pull up in, the company takes the materials out of the car, and the people drive away. They're maybe 15 minutes at most. So we do it April, July, and October. We don't have the 2017 exact dates yet, but we usually do the third Saturday of the month for those months.
And if I could just say one more thing about the pharmaceuticals as well. And you're absolutely right, Vincent, about the 70% of kids and adults in regard to addictions and so forth. But they also, too, there was a time previously, before getting involved in solid waste, I was a water and wastewater engineer, so I was heavily involved in wastewater plants. And there was a time when you were instructed to flush your unused pharmaceuticals down the toilet. And what happens with a lot of these pharmaceuticals is they pass directly right through the wastewater plants, and they end up in the rivers, in the Rondout Creek or the Hudson River. And a lot of these are endocrine disruptors. So, they end up in our environment and they end up in our drinking waters. So it's a twofold approach. It's a public health issue as well as an environmental issue too.
Yeah, I know Riverkeeper's really keen on that, and I remember going to a lecture at Bard College where there was a wildlife biologist who had done a lot of work in the Everglades. Everglades are basically a giant catch basin for most of Florida, and they found really high levels of pharmaceutical waste, so much so that many of the reptile populations are experiencing severe birth defects in those populations. And if they're affecting them, then somehow it can't be good for us and our kids at all. So, Merle, what other and you aside from, and God knows how many nasty chemicals are sitting in all of our garages and basements, right? That we use a little bit, and then there it sits for years and years, and that can't be a good thing. No,
and we do encourage people as they come through to, the next time they're going to go buy a cleaner or something, to look for more eco-friendly products, that way they don't have to use our service. We have it there because we know those things are out there, but we'd rather not have to do it. We'd rather that the people are using things that are not household hazardous waste.
Yeah, there are plenty of, now there's so much information on the net, with alternative solutions, right? Or even things that you can put together yourself using common natural ingredients.
Vinegar and baking soda, those sort of things. We also offer an electronic waste collection, so your computers, TVs, stereos, small kitchen appliances, that sort of thing. It's a New York State law, so there's a banned disposal of it to landfill. It can't go to landfill; it has to be recycled. And so we're a collection point. We offer that Monday to Friday from 8 to 3. Again, it's free. And right now there are a lot of places that are charging because it's become kind of a big issue. The TVs and these really gigantic TVs that people bring in, places like Best Buy and such are charging, but ours is still free. People can come in. They don't have to be an Ulster County resident. They can just be a New York State resident. They can bring it in, just sign in and drop it off, and be done. It keeps it out of the keeps it off the side of the road and out of the landfills.
And I know those things have a lot of heavy metals in them,
Yes, they do.
Yeah. And so you also have, you also collect sharps, right?
We have a sharps program.
Compost.
We have a sharps program in that we have cases of sharps containers donated to us.
Well, first of all, what are sharps? Just
sharps
so
are needles, so diabetics, anyone giving themselves a needle. Sharp items, medical devices. Those can't go into your regular garbage, obviously, because there's a puncture issue, and a health issue. So they suggest, having these sharps containers, and we offer up cases of them free to local hospitals and pharmacies. We have them donated to us by Becton Dickinson, and the hospitals can come to us, ask for a case, we give it to them, and then they offer it free to community members who come in with a full case. They can get a new empty one in return for free. So just trying to encourage people to dispose of those properly, so they're not going through and ending up on beaches or in landfills or potentially.
We don't collect them directly.
No, we don't collect them directly. We just offer up the cases for free to make sure that they're out there.
And tell us about the composting program. I know that's pretty interesting and popular. Right?
So we do commercial composting of food scraps. So restaurants, schools, grocery stores, that sort of thing, can bring us their food waste. They're on, whether they didn't eat it or they had it left over from the bakery, had it left over from the day before. And we have what's called a static aerated pile system going on. So it lets us do a lot in a very small footprint. And we actually just expanded because we have so much coming in. It's so popular. So it's great to see all this food waste being kept out of the landfill, because when it's in the landfill, it decomposes and makes all these methane gas and all these sorts of things. And our finished product, our finished compost, is actually available for sale to the public. It's $30 a ton, and that's also been selling like mad.
It's been very, very successful. And,
I've heard good things about it.
It's very exciting.
And I'm very happy to say that everyone that I know of that has bought it, and the feedback that I've gotten, including a couple of board members actually, so their gardens just took off. We had one email from a farmer, a local farmer who bought some of the product, and he put it on his fields, and he went from growing virtually nothing to it just exploded, and he was very, very happy. And it's important for your listeners to know that this compost is being routinely tested. Quarterly testing. It's being sent off to a lab for looking for pathogens and other contaminants that may be in there, such as metals and so forth. So it's routinely being monitored. And we do that not only to ensure that we're creating a good product, but also we're certified through the U.S. Compost Council. And in order to keep that certification, we have to submit to them the results of all of our testing, and they have to approve it. So to maintain that certification.
That's really great. That's like the ultimate recycling, right?
Yes, it is. I always tell the children when they come in, I said it's basically recycling of your food. I said you're taking your food, it's being broken down into compost, which is essentially a food to grow your new food. I said, so it's the whole cycle of life going on. And they really like that idea.
Which is such a critical industry in Ulster County. And, we're very fortunate to have a lot of still operating family farms in Ulster County. And we have an initiative now through the Hudson Valley Farm Fresh program where we've connected up the Roundup Valley Growers Association with food pantries all over the county and set up 6 regional distribution centers so that a lot of times the pantries can't take big deliveries of donated food. So we set up these distribution centers, which are giant walk-in coolers. Store the food there, and the pantries can come and get it as they need to. So there's some really good connections between Ulster County's ag sector, and it's really great to know that that you're working with, you said commercial, so that's the restaurant industry and all of those folks,
yes.
Supermarkets.
Right.
Yes.
But we're not currently set up for residential right now. We can't, for several logistical type reasons and operational issues, we can't take a car by car.
Situation. You need economy of scale.
We need economy of scale, and also for safety reasons too. There's a lot going on. Again, we're not set up for residential. The whole facility,
right? That's
approved by the DEC with traffic patterns and a lot of large trucks, a lot of excavators going on. So we're set up for a commercial where a large truck will come in, right, has a collection route.
Right. Well, this is really great work, and we're really fortunate to have these services in Ulster County. So if folks want to find out more information about recycling, hazardous waste disposal, the compost program, and all of the work that you do, or if they have questions, where do they go to get more information?
They can go to our website, ucrra.org, or they can call our main office. That's 336-0600. And if they want to reach me directly, there's the recycling hotline, which is 336-3336.
Say that again.
336.
3 times fast?
Yeah. It is. It's 336-3336. And that goes right to my desk, the recycling hotline. If I'm not there, it takes a message and I return it. So any questions they have we get questions about paint, we get questions about batteries, we get questions about the hazardous waste, about electronics. We also offer public tours for school children and for larger groups. They get a few people together. They come see the recovery facility where recyclables are processed. They can come see the compost operation and just see what we're all about.
We love giving the tours.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for all the great work you do, and thank you for being here today. Our guests are Merlin Akhtar and Tim Rose from Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. Thanks again. If you like to get more information about Healthy Ulster Radio, have any comments, questions, please send us an email at healthyulsterradio@gmail.com. See you next week.
You've been listening to the Healthy Ulster Radio Show, a community affairs presentation from the Ulster County Health Department, sponsored by Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley in Kingston, a member of the WMC Health Network. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us for another edition of the Healthy Ulster Radio Show next week.